beautiful people. I am so happy to have you here with me today. My name is Paula Sinisterra, and if you are new here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. I'm a mental health therapist, so on this channel, you will see all things mental health, education, motivation, inspiration, and advocacy, okay? Now, I've spent a lot of time in my past few videos talking about anxiety. Today, I want to introduce the conversation of depression, okay? Now, a lot of people don't know that anxiety and depression are like cousins, and they often take turns coming to visit us, okay? The reason that this happens is because if you're somebody that struggles with anxiety or high levels of stress, which, can correlate to anxiety, your body can only be in that state for so long before it goes into self-preservation mode and slows everything down, right? So the body's kind of saying like, okay, if you're not gonna slow down, if you're gonna be scared all the time, I can't manage this, you're wearing your whole system down, so I'm gonna go ahead and slow you down, and that's when depression often comes in. So depression is in a lot of ways a self-preservation mode that our body goes into after it has experienced excessive amounts of stress and anxiety, okay? Now, here's the thing with depression, right? It could be a response to a really stressful life event, or it could be triggered by something that makes sense. And in that case, I will talk about how to navigate through it as fast, in the most effective way possible so that we don't get stuck in it. So stay tuned for that if you're interested. But first of all, I do want to point out that if you experience a state of depression that is like you lose pleasure in things that you used to enjoy, you start feeling, you start experiencing feelings of worthlessness, excessive guilt, no motivation, lethargy, fatigue, basically just losing your spice for life. And if this is something that keeps going for longer than 2 weeks, pretty much every day, then please seek out treatment, because then you are actually experiencing clinical depression. And again, on this channel, it is not meant for you to self-diagnose, but I'm giving you education and information so that you can be equipped to seek out help if it sounds like you might need it, okay? So if you've experienced those kinds of emotions and, just lethargy and things like that for 2 or more weeks, then go ahead and please seek help, okay? You're not alone. So many people in the world go through this at one point or another in their life, and it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It means that you are human, okay? Now, back to the conversation on moving through depression. I think that it is really important to be aware of the mindset that we have around it, okay? So when we start feeling depressed and we start losing our spice for life, something that can often take place is that we start thinking that there's something wrong with us. Why are we feeling this way? We start experiencing shame. We start wanting to isolate. And so we go deeper and deeper into it. If you're not familiar with the work of Jeff Foster, and depression is something that you've struggled with or want to learn more about moving through it, I definitely recommend it. I love his philosophy around it. He always talks about how we can take this word depressed and translate it over to mean deep rest, okay? So as I was saying earlier, depression is a natural consequence that our body takes us to when we have been stressing out and putting too much pressure and being in a state of anxiety for too long, right? Because our body can't handle that. So I love this metaphor of depression being a calling from our body for deep rest, okay? And often because we live in this problem-solving, immediate, quick-fix society, when we start feeling negative emotions, when we start not feeling good, when we start maybe all of a sudden not feeling good about ourselves, and we just feel kind of powerless, we immediately think, oh my God, I need to fix this. There's something wrong with me for feeling this way, when it could just be your energy just being so low because you've just pushed yourself to the limit, that you need to allow your body to rest, okay? Like I said, if it lasts longer than 2 weeks and it's persistent like that, seek help. But when it's just regular, states of depression that come and go, that are part of being human in response to the stressors that we experience in our society, I would say that the number one thing that we need to be able to do is to take it as a message from our body and our mind and our hearts that we need to slow down, that we need to take it easy, that we need to be easier on ourselves, right? So rather than thinking like, I immediately need to solve this and I need to go into self-improvement mode, I would say relax, first of all. You don't need to solve anything right away. What you need is to go into self-care and rest and self-compassion mode. So it is when we are at our most fragile, kind of like down like that, that we really just need to nurture ourselves. And we need to say, okay, if I just need to lay here for a day and just relax and take it easy and not put any pressure on myself, I'm gonna listen to my body and I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna be easy. And I know that I'm gonna go back into my routine and I'm gonna be able to move through life much faster and get back in the swing of things if I allow myself this time to rest, right? Often episodes of depression can come on, as I've been saying, as a result of all the pressure and anxiety that we've been experiencing and putting on ourselves, suddenly like crashing down. We reach our limit. We've been, trying to put on like a mask. We've been trying to fit into a role. We've been trying to achieve this and be that and do all these things, and suddenly we crash. And that is often when depression comes in. And that is why it can be such a powerful, even sacred message from our body and our mind that something isn't working. That there is either a story that we are believing about ourselves, about our lives, or about the world that isn't lining up, that's draining our energy. There is some ideal that we are imposing upon ourselves that is unrealistic, that is not fair, that is not even a representation of who we are, but maybe some ideal and some value that we are adopting based on what the media is telling us. That we are integrating these things that aren't true to who we are, that we are putting pressure on ourselves that is not sustainable. And our body and our minds are saying, stop, slow down, take it easy, question what you are believing, pay attention to the stories that you are telling yourselves, right? Often when we're in that state, we can start to feel worthless, or we can start to feel guilty, or we can start questioning like, what's wrong with me? Why am I experiencing this? I would say to be so gentle with yourself if you're experiencing an episode of depression, and seek social support. One of the most important things that we can do for ourselves if we are experiencing depression is to not isolate. And ironically, one of the first things that depression is going to tell you to do and motivate you to do is to isolate yourself, to go into a hole, to curl up in a ball of shame, to just hide yourself and not interact. Don't do that, because we are social beings and we are wired for social connection. So we need to give ourselves the opportunity to experience the empathy and the non-judgmental, attentive listening of another human being to be present to our pain, right? If we don't allow for that to happen, we are likely to continue to tell ourselves a painful story that is often going to be detrimental to our own self-image. If we open up the door, open up our heart, and be honest about our vulnerability and our experience to a caring person or even to a therapist, we give ourselves the opportunity to reframe what is happening and to make sure that we are not adopting a story that is going to harm us. Because once we start adopting a story that is going to harm us, which is likely to happen when we stay inside of our own head, during an episode of depression, then we're likely to stay in depression longer, and that's when it can become perpetual. If instead we immediately respond to this breakdown in our energy and this breakdown in our mood by being tender and by saying, okay, I hear you, something is not working, I'm gonna open up to my community, I'm going to seek out support, I'm gonna go, see my therapist, I'm going to challenge and explore and get curious about what it is that I am believing, and I'm going to get curious about what the set of events have been that have led me to this point, so that I can identify my vulnerabilities and so that I can identify the boundaries that my body and my mind are asking me to respect, so that I don't wear myself thin, okay? So basically in this video, I really just wanted to communicate that depression is a tender kind of breakdown experience that, when handled with self-compassion and love and gentleness, can truly open us up for a breakthrough if we get curious about it and we give ourselves the space and the time to kind of rest. Because when we do this, there's just a much higher chance that we are going to be able to gain insight into what led us there in the first place, so that we learn something new about ourselves, so that we become more aware of what it is that we need in order to care for ourselves, right? And that's gonna vary from person to person. And depression is often a very powerful messenger to tell us, like, what you have been doing is not working. The standards that you are putting yourself through, and the beliefs that you're taking in, like, those aren't working. That's not gonna work for you. That's not who you are. It might work for somebody else, but it's not working for you. So relax, rest, seek social connection, and as soon as you can, also start getting active, okay? Physical exercise is gonna be really important because it can help to kind of like kickstart our gear again once we allow ourselves to rest a little bit. So, my usual protocol when states of depression hit me, or I experience them, is I allow myself to rest first. I engage in self-compassion if I can, if not, definite rest. I seek out social support, I speak, I challenge the story that I'm telling myself. And then once I have allowed that to kind of cycle through, then I start getting on to exercise and I kickstart my system again, having learned something deeper and further about myself, so that I now know how to take better care of myself. And that is what I want all of you, that's what I want to encourage all of you to take from this, and to take from your experiences of depression, is being able to ask yourself, like, what is this here to show me? What is this here to teach me? And I'm going to be gentle with myself through it so that I can recover as fast as possible, right? It's kind of like if you have a sprained ankle, you're not going to try to run on it right away or force it to start working again. That's going to sprain it further. When we experience depression, it's the same way. We need to take it down, we need to take it easy, and once we've rested, then we allow ourselves to start kickstarting our body back up with exercise. Anxiety is different. Whenever people are struggling with anxiety, I'm always going to encourage you to face into whatever the anxiety is telling you not to do and go after it. The approach we take with depression is much gentler. We slow down and we pay attention and we take it in and we get curious about the message that is here to show us, so that we can learn from it and we have respect for it as part of the human experience rather than something bad. Because it's not bad. It's a messenger, and all of our emotions are welcome here. I love you guys. Have an awesome weekend, and subscribe if you found this helpful. Share with anybody who might need it. Again, love you, and tune back in again next week. I'll have another video for you.